Skinny Hardaway Southern T, back with another EP. Y'all do your boy a favor, y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, I greatly appreciate you sliding through. If this your first time, do your boy solid. Don't make it your last time. Hit that subscription button as well. We talk this good boxing, sports, parlays, predictions every single day, not just today. The big fight this weekend, of course, is David Morrell versus David Benavidez. But also on that card, we got Cool Boy Steph versus Brandon Figueroa. So we're going to talk about that fighter as well. We got Jesus Ramos taking on Jay Henson Rosario on that card as well. So we're going to talk about 4 fights total from the David Benavidez, David Morrell card. Of course, David Benavidez, David Morrell, Fulton Figueroa. Cruz is fighting Angel Fiera. And we will also talk about Ramos and Jay Henson Rosario. Also, 2 more fights. Clarissa Shields is going for unified heavyweight champ of the world, right? 3 major titles on the line in her fight versus Perkins. We go hit on that. And also, we go talk about Azim and Sergey Lipinets as well. So 6 fights total on this EP. Ain't gonna waste too much more of y'all time. Let's go and get into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give y'all all my winners for the fights this weekend. Secondly, I'm going to give y'all my underdog pick. Thirdly, I'm going to give y'all my most confident picks. And then at the end, we going to put us together some parlays with, my picks. I'm going to also explain to you why I picked each particular fight that I picked. So as you can see on the screen right now, I have my winners, right? If you just ask me who I think go win the fight, I think Shields wins, I think Azim wins, I think Ramos wins, and I think Cruz wins. Fulton Figueroa, right? I think the best, the surefire, result in that would be that fight to go the distance. And I think the surefire result in Benavidez and Morrell will be that fight not to go in the distance. I'm going to explain those 2 fights a little later in this video. This section right here is my underdog section. I only got 1 dog this week. Not many fights. Cool Boy Step is going to be my underdog this week. I'm going to explain it a little later in the video. What you're looking at now is my most confident pick section. That's, the fighters who I think are going to win, who I have the most confidence in. Shields, Ramos, Azim, and that David versus David fight not going the distance. All right, this is the method parlay section. We got Shields on the points, Adam Azim KO, Ramos KO, and David versus David not to go the distance. This next section, I'm about to explain each fight and why I took, the outcome and the winner that I took. All right, so we going to start with our underdog pick. We got a rematch versus Cool Boy Steph and Brandon Figueroa. This first fight between these two was extremely exciting. It left the people torn on who they thought won. Some people thought, you got half the people that thought Cool Boy won. You got the other half the people that thought Brandon Figueroa won. What I will say is that the fans most definitely won at the end of this fight. This was one of the better fights that I have seen, back and forth action. There were no knockdowns, right? But both fighters were hurt. Both fighters were stunned in this fight. And this was an excellent fight. When these two meet, kind of like the first time, I pretty much think all the rules, all the boxing ability and technical stuff is pretty much going to go out the window. These guys are going to get in here. They go bang one another out. The beauty in that is I don't think either of these guys, are, going to knock the other out. But I do think it's going to be similar to the first fight. I think it's going to start technical, but it's going to end up being a slugfest. I feel like the value on Cool Boy at plus 135 is something that I can't pass up, especially being that he won the first fight. Now, it's not going to be easy for him, but he has been in this room before, right? He's been through this part before. And I say it's not going to be a walk in the park, right? But he has walked through this part before. I think Cool Boy, he knows how to beat Brandon Figueroa. He's done it before. Was it easy? No. But I think he should be able to do it again. And I think worst case scenario, right, as I told you earlier, if you want to bet this fight, take it to go the distance. Because I do think this fight go the distance. But I'm going to be playing Cool Boy Steph as my dog pick because I like the value on it. I'm going to jump cards real quick. and then I'm gonna jump back, right? Well, I might jump back. I'm just doing this. I ain't going in no order. But anyway, I digress, right? We got Azim versus Sergey Lipinets. I think this fight is going to be exciting. I'm going to go Azim in this fight. I think Azim wins this fight by KO. I think Sergey Lipinets is a a grizzly veteran, right? So he's going to give Azim a test, maybe earlier than later. But I think the size advantage, the reach, the height of Azim just going to be too much for Sergey Lipinets. I think he's going to eventually stop Sergey Lipinets in this, but not because Sergey Lipinets is a bad fighter, just because I think Azim is more prime and ready at this point in his career. We're going to go with Azim for the KO over Sergey Lipinets. Next, we're moving on to Shields versus Perkins. I think this is going to be one of Shields' tougher fights, right, due to the size of her opponent. Her opponent is about 6 feet. She's moving up to heavyweight, right? There's going to be 3 major belts on the line. So, that's added motivation for the opponent. I think it's going to take Shields, a few rounds to figure out Perkins, her size, get around her jab and whatnot. But I do think Shields will be able to figure out. I don't think Shields gets the stoppage in this fight. She got the stoppage in the last fight. I think Shields wins this fight on the points. After, about 3 rounds, I think she's going to settle in and, take control of the fight. Next fight is Ramos versus Rosario. I think Ramos is going to be too much for Rosario. I think his constant pressure, pretty good boxer, right, and his range. I think he's going to, overwhelm Rosario and eventually get the stoppage in that fight. Ramos KO in that fight. The next fight, we got Cruz versus Fiera. This is my least confident pick, you know what I mean? Other day, I'm taking Cruz. Not really sure how this fight ends. If I had to put money on it, if I had to make a bet on it, right, I would say it ends in stoppage, given the style of the fights, right? But, sometimes you get 2 bangers and they go the distance, right? But Cruz, I think Cruz wins this fight. Not overly confident in it, right? I think it goes the distance. All right, we at the main thing, man. It's main event time. We got David Benavidez versus David Morrell, the highly anticipated 160. Actually, they fighting at 175 pounds, right? So much for that, right? But this fight has been anticipated since these guys was at 168 pounds. Ironically, this fight is happening at 175 pounds, though, right? But you got the hard-punching David Morrell versus the hard-punching David Benavidez, right? You got the style, you got the come forward, pressure style, volume punching of David Benavidez versus the accurate, patient, make you pay kind of style of David Morrell. David Benavidez and David Morrell are similar in size and height. I think David Benavidez is a little bigger as far as like girth, but David Morrell actually does have the arm reach advantage in this fight. The experience advantage goes to David Benavidez as far as professional, right? But David Morrell has a pretty, extensive amateur career. He fought gold medalists in his amateur career, right? As, a young 18-year-old, right? As a young fighter. So while he doesn't have a whole lot of experience as a pro, he has, pretty high-level experience as, an amateur. Not in total fights, but in the people that he fought, right? This is a huge step up in competition for David Morrell Jr. from what he's been facing. David Benavidez, over the last few years, 2 to 3 years, actually has, faced some of the best fighters in the game, right? So this isn't going to be, a step up in competition for David Benavidez, but this will be like a step up in ferociousness in his competitors, right, for David Benavidez. I think David Morrell is probably the most dangerous fighter that David Benavidez has faced up until this day. I think this will be the first time that he's been in the ring with a fighter who is just as dangerous as him in David Morrell, right? So this David versus David battle, I think this is going to be a banger. As you already know, as I said earlier, I don't think this fight is going the distance. I think this fight right here is going to be a hard-fought 8 or 9 rounds between these guys. Bright, but I don't think it's going past 8 or 9 rounds. I think whoever wins this fight, they're going to give it their all early. And I think, the loser of this fight is going to be stopped. Even if they're not knocked out cold, I think the referee is going to have to come, step in between these two guys. Again, I mentioned earlier, Morrell has a 2-inch reach advantage over David Benavidez, right? But in this fight, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the harder fights for me to pick. I like David Morrell, but I'm going to go David Benavidez for the win, right? I hope I'm wrong about this, but I think, the pressure and the constant punching of David Benavidez is going to give Morrell some problems. I do see a path for Morrell to win, right? Morrell can, catch David Benavidez in between his shots. And if David Morrell can catch Benavidez clean enough, I do think David Morrell has that kind of power, to blast guys out the ring. And he very well could blast David Benavidez, out with one of those counter shots. But I'm thinking, David Benavidez is going to put that pressure. He's going to put that pace on him, right? And I'm thinking that is going to, cause David Morrell, to... I don't want to say quit, but I think, David Morrell, he's going to overwhelm David Morrell, right? And I think that's going to cause the ref, to jump in between the two for a TKO stoppage. I wouldn't be, shocked or surprised if David Morrell was to win this fight, right? But I'm going to go with David Benavidez in this, but my most confident bet in this, right? My surefire bet will most definitely be this fight not to go the distance. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Skin the Hardaway Southern Tea. This ain't the pass. Oh, yeah, my bad. Oh, yeah, my bad, y'all. I'm tripping. Let me get y'all this recap. Then I'm going to get up out of here. So my winners, Shields, Azim, Ramos, Cruz. My most confident picks, Fulton and Figueroa to go the distance. Benavidez and Morrell to not go the distance. Method parlay, we got Shields on the points, Azim KO, Ramos KO, and David versus David to not go the distance. My underdog pick for the day is Cool Boy Steph. I ain't gonna hold y'all in here too much longer, man. Skin the Hardaway Southern Tea. This ain't the past. This ain't the future, but it's the present. That's how we rocking, and I'm out. Love.